Hello and welcome everyone to the ISCA Thursday Cup Series here for the Cheerwine 200, our first race of this season. Definitely excited to see what we have in store for us at this new season. Of course, a track that's not really on the official schedule, Charlotte Motor Speedway. So this is definitely going to present quite a bit of challenges for a lot of the drivers out here, of course, who really didn't have a lot of setup options. So some guys had to really get their, hands dirty a little bit and actually build the cars themselves. Of course, I'm Brian Britt, joining the booth by Big Al. How you doing, Big Al?
Hey, Brian, doing pretty good here, man. Excited to see what this new season is going to bring. Like you said, we're at Charlotte. Not a lot of guys got a lot of help here, so going to have a lot of homemade setups. But you know what? These ISCA guys always find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, it's not like we haven't been here before. We've already been to tracks before to where these guys maybe weren't in exactly their comfort zone. They still put on amazing races. If I remember correctly, Chicagoland wasn't that long ago that was off schedule, but it was such a great race. I expect this one to be just the same here. As qualifying now has started here. We'll want to give a little bit of a disclaimer. I am a little bit sick here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but I will try to do my best to bring all the racing action just along with Big Al. As we mentioned, 200 miles here, 134 laps. Let's take a look at more of the race facts here. 134 laps, as I mentioned before. Stage is a little bit weird this time. We usually have it 25 and 50, but this time around it's going to be 25 or 20 and 50. Of course, 4 sets of tires down in the pits is always the one that they start with. 48 laps is the fuel window, which means they will have to have a green flag stop unless a caution comes out late in this race. And because of the nature of the setup tonight, Big Al, with a lot of these guys, kind of having to throw together something and build on them and work on them themselves, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some spins, though.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I do like about these one-offs is it gives us an opportunity to just see what these guys are going to bring to the table. Everybody had to hit the running board, the drawing board, if you will, and they all had to reach deep into their pockets even and try to figure out how they could come here tonight and find a way to be competitive. So, and with the season just started, we don't even have any points to go over. I mean, everybody gets a clean slate at this. Looks like we got some new names in the field, and there's some familiar names that aren't there with us. But man, either way, I'm pretty excited about what's getting ready to happen here.
Yeah, I do believe a couple new names, as you mentioned before. Greg Carr, I think, JC, can't remember his last name, but we'll definitely be talking a lot more about these guys. JC Evans, I'm sorry. We'll be talking a lot more about these guys as this race progresses and season progresses. As you mentioned, no points to really discuss. So this is going to be a fresh slate for these drivers, but this is an important jump off point for the rest of the season. I know next week going to be an interesting one too. Big Al, the schedule kind of just came out under week 13. It's actually going to be Legacy, Kentucky, I do believe, coming up on the docket next week. So that's going to be another mile and a half, another interesting race. Kentucky's definitely an interesting track. It's very
Yeah,
unique in the mile and a half.
yeah. Another thing about Kentucky is the track that we're not even going to with these cars, so that's going to even make it more interesting because you got to think about it. The next gen cars never ran a race at Kentucky, and they probably never will.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. It is the legacy version, so it's a little bit different than the newer scan that they have for that track. But it looks like a lot of guys are in full force trying to get some qualifying times in. Derek Heitman was one of the fastest in practice, and looks like he is going to take that on to qualifying. He hits a 30.256. Talk a little bit about the conditions out there, Big Al.
Well, the conditions here tonight, 82 degrees is what the ambient air temperature is. Track temp's about 111 degrees with winds out of the south at 12 miles an hour, and that will definitely affect the handling of these cars here. It looks like we're sitting at about 112 in sim, so right here in the middle of the afternoon. I would imagine the track temp is going to continue to get a little bit warmer here before it starts to cool off. That's going to definitely make it a little bit more challenging because we are right in the midst of, I mean, you said it best, week 13 in the sim, and that means a lot of updates, lots of improvements. Drivers are going to be having to try to figure out what's really going on. The tire model is going to change, the handling is going to change. So, I mean, we're going to be in for a lot of surprises here this evening.
Yeah, a lot of surprises. I mean, a track that's not even on the official schedule right now. These guys are having to. I mean, last time that I do believe the next gens were at Charlotte was back in season 2 which was, quite a few months ago, and it has changed so much since then. A lot of these guys even tried to pull out their old Charlotte setup from season 2, and none of them worked, Big Al. That was kind of an interesting thing about it. Just shows you how much the updates have changed it.
Oh yeah, absolutely they have, and a lot of these guys are going to be experiencing a lot of things that on a track there probably would be used to seeing some things like dirty air, but I think that's going to even play a bigger factor into a track like Charlotte. So coming off of turn 4, going right around the start finish line, expect to see a lot of excitement. If guys don't hold their mouths just the right way, it's going to be challenging. Also going into 1 and 2. So this track is not going to be without its challenges here tonight. But speaking of which challenges, let's go ahead and step away. We'll get our national anthem, and then we'll be back and run through our lineup and get this race started.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and a rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Remember what I told all my drivers? Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time. Drivers, start your engine!
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we have the grid set here. Don Avery is going to be starting on the pole with Derek Heitman in second place. Third place is going to be Kenny Powell, with fourth place being Josh Schopner. Fifth place is going to be Greg Wachinski. Sixth place, Darren Mullins. Seventh place, Al Kozlowski. Eighth place, J.C. Evans, one of the new guys. Ninth place, Greg Carr, another one of the new guys. And 10th place, Mark Sanchez.
Andrew Griesbaum is going to be bringing in 11th. Paul Olsen in 12th. Derek Jacobs starts off 13th with Ryan Strunk along his outside in P14. Wes Dobbs and Andrew Layton round out this 16-car field. Yeah, quite a few new names here in the ISCA, but one thing that's not going to change, Brian, that's going to be the standard of excellence. Now, tonight, we should expect to see these guys go generally caution free. Now, it's going to present some challenges, being that this is not a sanctioned race by the ISCA, which means none of the major setup shops are providing any type of assistance. So, drivers really had to go out and do some unique things this week to try to make this thing work. Like you said earlier, some guys reaching back to older setups, but thrown into the mix with that, if it couldn't get any more complex, we had two updates kind of back to back. So guess when you got a car built for one update, they kind of dropped another one on us today. And well, I think it's just going to provide a lot more exciting racing for us here this evening.
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to be very exciting. As you mentioned, some guys definitely reaching and doing some crazy things this week, and like you said, the update coming out even today. But I don't think that update seemed to change very much. I know it was like a arrow thing, so I would expect it maybe mess with the cars being in the draft or dirty air, if you will. So we'll have to wait and see. And you mentioned it before. The problem spots on this track, I think it's going to be on the exit of turn 4. We've seen a lot of times in practice guys getting loose coming out of there, especially on the longer runs. I mean, it just seems like the cars, no matter what you do, it seems like it trends to that loose side coming out of 4.
Yeah, and then once they come out of 4, I mean, drivers are going to be fighting for position, and it almost seems like you could go too wide, but that's also a tricky spot. So also look for a little bit of contact coming around that start-finish line as they make that apex of the turn to go into the one.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, especially on the front stretch, the way this track is angled, it's a quad oval. So, the way you got to go through there, it's almost a turn itself. And when you're side by side through there, it can get quite tricky. And another reason I think everybody's going to have a lot of problems with 4 is because if you look at that corner or on the exit of 4, it flattens out a lot. Which most of the corner is pretty banked, but then you get into the flat portions, and that's when the car kind of unsettles a little bit because of how flat it is. But it looks like everybody is going to be rolling on right now. We're going to get this thing underway.
Yeah, that's right. Lights are off on the pace car, which signifies we will be going green next time by. The 88 Speedway Angels of Al Kozlowski electing to start from pit road. Not sure what that's about, but hey, you know what? Maybe he knows something we don't know. We're going to be watching to see a lot of these strategies play out here tonight. Expect a lot of side-by-side racing, especially on early on. These guys will be trying to figure it out. Now, the fall off on lap times is going to be significant here, Brian. That's one thing I expect. Within 20 laps, they're gonna lose at least a second. So some drivers they're gonna experience that earlier on. It's just going to be interesting to see how these setups play out. And the first stage only being 20 laps, that's also going to play into this quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And you mentioned, they fall off a second over, 20-lap run. It's even more than that, Big Al. I mean, I've seen these guys falling off to 32, high 32s, low 33s. So, I mean, it's going to be pretty significant here. So, we see the pace car going to be taking that first left, and we're going to be getting this thing underway as we get ready to enter the Geico restart zone, and the green flag will be waving out in the air. Don Avery in control.
Kenny Powell missing a shift there, kind of stacked up that bottom row a little bit. Kudos to Don Avery getting the pole here tonight. Green flag is out, and green flag racing underway as the field is coming through turn 1.
Side by side for the lead is Heitman trying to make something happen up on the top. He gets a good run. Now side by side, you see also Greg Wachinski trying to make something happen on John Schaffner. Of course, they are teammates. This is like Heitman not able to get the pass completed, though. Look at Andrew Griesbaum working his way up through the field.
Yeah, definitely good to see Griesbaum back out here. Hopefully this season he'll get a good start there as he coming around to 64. That's going to be Darren Mullins. But hopefully Griesbaum will actually get a good start on the season, get a good couple of strong finishes, a couple of top fives there, make himself a little bit more of a factor here in the playoff run as we progress through these races. Kenny Powell high along the outside, taking a little bit of a different line there.
Yeah, definitely very interesting line as he tries to catch up there to Derek Heitman. Looks like he's doing just that right now. Maybe trying to get a little clean air on the nose to help that car turn. could be the possibility here as he catches up in the middle of 1 and 2. Looks like he's going to get a good exit. Kenny Powell looking very fast here. Don Avery, though, going to be benefiting from the clean air. Now, I think that's going to be a huge advantage if he can keep that as Greg Wychinski starts to put more pressure on Josh Schaffner as now Griesbaum enters the mix. Side by side with Wychinski, really close racing.
Yeah, with 3 laps, though, into this thing, you got to wonder if Griesbaum's maybe pushing it a little bit too hard. Not sure. That's another thing I would say, note about Don Avery as he is in the lead. You know, you might not want to be out front running just that hard because you're going to have to, you're going to have degradation in tire wear. The harder you run, the more it is going to fall off. Andrew Griesbaum now on the inside of Josh Schaffner. This battle is going to be for P4. Griesbaum started all the way back in 11th, so far he is our fastest mover.
Yeah, definitely. He's moved through this field quite quickly, and you're right. I do have a concern that maybe he is burning his equipment up. You see the 9, though, of J.C. Evans looking really good right now. First race here, I do believe, in the ISCA, sitting in 8th place, and Greg Carr sitting 9th. So not bad day for those 2 new guys here. Oh, almost some contact between Wychinski and Schaffner.
Yeah, Josh Schaffner is going to elect to stay on the high side. Everybody is going to be stacking up around him as these guys are going to be trying the best in 4 positions. 6 laps in the book, coming to lap 7 here on the turn. Don Avery leading all of the laps thus far as he is definitely putting on a clinic. Now, hey, way to go, Don. Hopefully he'll be able to maintain this momentum that he has here tonight because, Brian, we know this guy is a solid racer.
Yeah, very much so. He's very fast. Was a little concerned when I was watching him in practice. He seemed like he was having a lot of handling conditions, but maybe just in time was able to get that worked out as the racing has closed in. Look at Andrew Griesbaum closing in quickly on Kenny Powell right now. Powell going to be trying to go to the inside of Heitman. Here he goes.
Yep. Powell definitely going to be feeling the pressure because now he has no choice but to maybe push the issue a little bit more on Derek Heitman that he wants. But Andrew Griesbaum right up here in the midst of these guys, not really dialed in on the same frequency as some of these gentlemen. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out as they are 2 by 2 for P2.
Yeah, looks like Kenny Powell had the advantage there for a moment. He starts to slip up a little bit. Heitman with a little bit of a wiggle. Looks like Heitman's going to get the run, though, on the exit he needs. Oh, a little contact there between Griesbaum and Kenny Powell. Griesbaum thinking about taking it 3 wide, it looks like.
Yeah, Griesbaum definitely feeling his oats here, and he understands that he has the freshest tires that he's going to have so far in the remainder of this stage. So if he is going to go, he is going to have to go now. So it makes one believe that maybe Heitman is kind of holding the field up a little bit as the field is stacked up really dense behind him, and it's allowing Don Avery to pull off as now he has got almost a 0.9 second lead over the rest of the field.
Yeah, it looks like Kenny Powell has finally got that position completed. Now Andrew Griesbaum going to have to do battle with Heitman here. So, yeah, Heitman, I think talking to him a little bit before the race, I chatted with him a little bit. He wasn't very confident in his race car.
Well, this is where it gets tricky because right now you got 10 laps on your equipment. Tires are starting to scream a little bit. The field is kind of bunched up. You got guys passing at places where, at Charlotte, it seems like it's plenty wide enough, but these cars are going to have the propensity to slide up onto the racetrack. And Josh Schaffner does just that, 3 wide coming around the turn.
I think he thought better of that. Josh was like, nope, I am not doing this right now. And I think that was a very wise decision there from Josh Schaffner. That could have been a bad deal as we still see Greg Wychinski and Derek Heitman battling it out.
Yeah, because you run what you brung, and these guys battling it out like they have has allowed Don Avery to actually pull his lead out now to greater than 1 second. So over halfway through the stage, he's still putting a pretty good pace out there. He is almost a half of a second slower than he was on his fastest lap. So degradation being exactly what we thought it would be at this point in the race, Brian.
And here we go. Greg Wychinski going to be trying to get back by Andrew Griesbaum. Griesbaum had drove his way all the way to the front, and now it's going to be starting to fall back. He gets the wall a little bit here.
And that's exactly what we talked about because, he was pushing it pretty hard to get up there, and you can do that. but it's going to be really hard to maintain that pace because these other guys that have been kind of preserving and maintaining, these guys now are going to show that consistent speed, and that's what is going to allow them to actually come up and start to challenge a little bit.
Take a look through the cockpit camera here of Josh Schaffner. You can watch the 64 of Darren Mullins and Derek Heitman right there in front of him. Schaffner, of course, sitting in 7th place as he's going to be trying to work on Darren Mullins. He's been kind of giving and taking, I'd say. Oh, I don't know if he's not giving much here, though. He is trying to slide up underneath the 64, not quite able to get there. Here comes Wes Dobbs. Wes Dobbs doing a fantastic job right now. Sitting in, I do believe, P8 right now. He just took it over from J.C. Evans. So Wes Dobbs looking like he's got a lot of speed. And that's not a surprise to see that 72 being this fast here when a race that doesn't really, like you said, have the benefit of the setup shops. I think he's a tinkerer. He's going to be one that would be able to figure something out here. As we see, look at Schaffner go on the top, close racing with Derek Heitman.
Yeah, and he's got Darren Mullins right on the inside. Mullins is going to be trying to figure out what he is going to do. They're going to be 3 wide going into 1. This is where it's going to get a little bit tricky. The 72 car, though, doing exactly what he needs to do. Wes Dobbs is maintaining his position. Those guys were able to effectively make the pass. It did not actually have contact, Brian, so that's going to make us feel a little bit better as we are almost ready to have stage 1 in the books.
Yeah, soon to be like 5 to go here in the stage. Kenny Powell has been running down Don Avery now. About 6/10 separate them as Josh Schaffner now side by side with Andrew Griesbaum.
Yep, Josh Schaffner has already made up the difference, and you'll see Griesbaum is going to start to slowly fade away. Now, if he does put his elbows out there and make that car a little bit wider, it's going to probably give us a chance to see some cautions. But another thing, though, Brian, to note that we'll talk about here in a minute is these guys haven't had the benefit of actually running any real practice races this week as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think that is a big disadvantage because usually these guys are running A opens. Oh, Derek Heitman loose.
Heitman really loose. And that's what we were talking about coming out of turn 4 right there.
Yeah, this is definitely a little bit of a scary situation. He was a little off the pace there. A lot of cars bearing down on him right now.
Mark Sanchez is going to be trying to come up behind the 9 of J.C. Evans. These guys are going to be trying to get around Heitman as well.
Yeah, I guarantee you Heitman's wanting to put some adjustments on that race car. I guarantee you he wants to adjust on that thing.
And everybody wants to, but, it's going to get even more challenging the next stage because you're going to add 10 additional laps to the run here. It'd be actually a work out to be about 18, but still, that's going to be a lot bit more than what they're running on this stage.
And look at I'm really impressed with the speed we're seeing from this 5 of Greg Wychinski. He just ran down Kenny Powell here as we have 2 laps to go here in this stage now.
Yeah, and the 29 of Mark Sanchez still battling side by side with Derek Heitman. Heitman falling all the way back from P2. Now he finds himself in 11th. He is going to be outside of the top 10, which means no points for him right here, even despite his great qualifying effort.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. I'm looking at his right side. I think I see a little bit of damage actually on that machine as well, which this being such an aero-sensitive track, that could very well hurt him.
But, yeah, kudos to Don Avery because right now he has still got a half a second lead over P2 Kenny Powell. He's got about 3 more corners to go here before he'll actually be able to solidify himself a stage 1 win. And, I mean, I don't care how you slice that, man. Stage victories are very important in what great momentum for him starting off the season here.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first stage of the season. I mean, that's a big thing there. Definitely sends a message.
Pole. Yeah, so he pretty much dominated all of stage 1. The stage 1 is in the books now. Caution flag should be coming out momentarily. There it is. So Don Avery going to be your stage 1 winner with Kenny Powell P2. Greg Wychinski, 3rd place. Josh Schaffner P4. Wes Dobbs in P5. Andrew Layton P6. Andrew Griesbaum in P7. Darren Mullins P8. Ryan Strunk P9. And Mark Sanchez will round out those top 10 paying points positions with stage 1 in the books. And Stage 1 caution or stage 1 pit flag stops on the way. We're going to step away, get a word from our sponsors, and I'm going to go try to find my words.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We just saw our Stage 1 winner drop a few spots there, fell back into 4th place. We're going to be joined in the booth by Derek Heitman. We just figured we'd give him a chance to talk about how the car's handling. It seems like struggling a little bit here tonight. How's it going?
Oh, this thing's a piece of junk. I'm driving driving a setup from season 2 of last year, and that was before the aero change, and this thing's kind of a death trap at the moment.
Are you making adjustments on it to try to see if you can't get it to more your liking?
I'm going to be honest, I didn't change a damn thing. I'm just going to play the tire strategy and do my saving routine and see if it helps me out in stage 3.
Well, definitely unfortunate to see, you're having such a kind of a bad performance here, considering you didn't get any stage points there. Hopefully next week Legacy Kentucky will treat you a little bit better. We're glad you're able to talk with us just for a moment. Hopefully those tire saving techniques will help out. We know you're a fantastic driver. Even though you got a crap car, I think you still usually can make it work. We'll have to wait and see, buddy. Who can we get a shout out?
We'll see what happens. Oh, I mean, I'm not shouting out EPI this. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you
always got to shout out EPI and the roots of where I came from and Michael Conti. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be halfway decent at driving this setup. So we'll figure it out. And of course, all my teammates at MMR, my new teammate Greg Carr, and Matt DeCiani. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight, but hope to have him back by my side here pretty soon.
All right, Heitman, we appreciate your time, buddy, and good luck to you.
Hey, thank you, gentlemen.
That was Derek Heitman, driver of the 76 machine. Definitely having a little bit of some woes here tonight, but definitely glad to talk to him. As it looks like pace car lights are out. We're in turn 3 and 4 right now. Kenny Powell now the control car. Let's see what he does with the clean air, Big Al.
Yeah, definitely going to think that the clean air is going to work out to his benefit. Now, we said these guys did not get an opportunity to run in packs because there were no races so they could simulate. So Powell does know one thing. He knows how his car is going to hold up for X amount of laps being out front, and he is just going to have to try to maintain that. Green flag out now. Powell wasting no time getting going. This is a G&G teammate up top. Greg Wachinski kind of caught a sleeping a little bit, holding Don Avery back even more.
And look at that. Greg Wachinski falls back to 3rd place as looks like Josh Schaffner able to hold on here. Andrew Griesbaum side by side with Don Avery here. Also Andrew Layton, big mover, side by side with Darren Mullins.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if maybe that wasn't an orchestrated event there with the G&G guys, because right now you got Avery in traffic, and he is not wasting any time as he is putting his nose down on the inside of the 5 of Wachinski. He is going to be battling Wachinski for P3, not wanting to get caught back there in traffic. It looks like he wants to go up front and try to get back in that clean air again, Brian.
He definitely has a good run right now. We'll have to see if it holds up for him, as he's got the draft here of Josh Schaffner. He's going to try to go to the inside, but just does not have enough of a run to actually get there. Most of the field has single filed out. I do believe we see some side-by-side racing a little bit further back.
Avery now going to be on the inside of Schaffner at the stripe. Looks like he is now going to claim P2. Got his sight set on Kenny Powell.
Yeah, and this is Schaffner's MO all day long. He does this kind of stuff. He's like, I'm not going to fight you. He's never the one that really fights you up until when he has the advantage on tires.
Yeah, this is definitely a longer stage. It's early in that stage. You're going to have to run, almost, 8 laps longer than you did on the previous stage. So that's something these drivers has got to be in their head. They got to be thinking about, especially if your car was handling like crap towards the end of that run there at stage 1.
Yeah, looking at lap times right now, Don Avery running the fastest lap on the racetrack with a 30.619. Andrew Griesbaum almost has a problem with Darren Mullins.
Mullins in the grease bomb. They were actually arguing over the same piece of real estate. Grease bomb now going to be sliding back. Don't know exactly. I think that's just one of those racing deals, but those two cars were trying to occupy the same patch of asphalt, and it just didn't work out for them.
Not at all. But I have been so impressed with what I'm seeing from Andrew Layton. Been up here, now sitting in 7th place. He's starting to have a little bit of pressure put on him by Andrew Strunk. We knew Strunk was going to show up at some point.
Yeah, I got you. But speaking of pressure, that's exactly what Kenny Powell is feeling, as Don Avery has now done pulled up onto his rear view. And Kenny Powell definitely, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what the strategy is. Do you fight for that position right now, or do you just let him go? Because, man, there's a lot of racing left, not only in the stage, but in the race itself.
Yeah, I don't know what you do here. I mean, I think that you don't make it easy on him, but then again, I mean, if he shows his nose and gets underneath you, just let him race his line. I mean, and just try to save your equipment. And I think that's what Powell probably has in mind. But, I mean, also, Avery hasn't been in dirty air yet here tonight. Now he is. Now he's in Kenny's wake, and that could provide, make his tires wear a little more. We'll have to wait and see how that kind of works out. I mean, we saw Powell in that last stage was trending towards being faster than Avery. But because Avery's behind him, is this more pressure? As we see Kenny Powell glance off the wall there, having Avery behind Powell like this makes me feel like Kenny is burning this stuff up a little bit more because he doesn't want Avery to pass him.
Well, Avery is definitely going to be doing just that. He is going to put pressure on Powell. And, Powell's going to now, he's racing 3 places. He's racing the track, the relative, and his rearview mirror, and it's way too early to have that kind of pressure. But those two have definitely stepped out a little bit of a lead there over P3 Josh Schaffner. And so that's got to lead me to believe this. They're probably burning their equipment up. As Avery now is going to come down on the inside. It looks like he will get the best of Powell here, as the challenge for the lead should be complete here momentarily.
Keep in mind, 18 laps to go here in this stage. And he hasn't gotten it completed quite yet. We'll have to wait and see if Avery can get it done. He's side-by-side still for the lead. Now, this is going to help out those guys that are behind these guys, like a Josh Schaffner, a Greg Wachinski, a Darren Mullins. They're going to start catching these guys now because they're side-by-side.
I'll tell you 2 guys that it's not going to help. It's not going to help the 11 or the 24. Because the more these 2 guys continue to battle, the more they're just wearing out that equipment. And you'll see further back now, Greg Wachinski pulling up alongside of Josh Schaffner. These 2 are now going to be battling for 3rd place. So it's just showing us, man, these guys are feeling racy here, Brian, as we still have 16 laps to go in the stage.
Also, Al Kozlowski, who started from the pits in this race, has worked his way up into 8th place. I do believe he is battling right now with Andrew Layton. So definitely a good run for that 88. I know he was one of the fastest in practice also. But that's one thing that Big Al, or Al Kozlowski, always says. He says that, hey, I know that I'm not as good on the long run. He always burns his tires up. But, I mean, I feel like he's been making significant strides to better that. And especially this week, having to work on the car, Big Al. When you have to work on a setup and do multiple laps, you start to realize that, hey, I got to save the tire on this thing.
I mean, saving tires is going to be the name of the game at Charlotte. And I don't care whether you bring in a skateboard or a grocery cart. It's going to wear those tires off of it.
It really will. I love that.
I mean, but it's the truth. This track is probably one of the worst tracks that we come to when it comes to tire wear, next to the concrete tracks like Dover. You know, it's just, I mean, she's bad.
Kenny Powell, though, has been able to be able to defend Don Avery. Avery loose. He almost loses it completely there. He's going to take a trip through a little bit of that, apron there on the front stretch.
And that is definitely going to slow him down a little bit because he is definitely going to have to get back into that rhythm. Now he's going to be in serious jeopardy of losing P2 as Schaffner and Wachinski now are going to be coming alongside trying to challenge him for the position.
Yeah, I think that Avery getting sideways like that is going to hurt his tires, too, as he goes all the way up the track. Still loose. You can see that he is trending loose. I want to take a cockpit camera here, see how he's handling that wheel.
Well, I think he's giving it to Jesus in a lot of the instances because he definitely has his hands full.
Well, one thing I heard Al Kozlowski was telling me before the race, he was saying that if you're sawing that wheel here at Charlotte, it's gonna punish you later in the run. So,
it absolutely will. The more and look how much input he's pulling in that thing, trying to get it to turn, yanking it down. That is just causing those tires just to shred themselves.
Almost some issues there between Wachinski and Don Avery here, as Avery is trying to battle to keep some semblance of this position. You can tell he is all out of sorts. This car is not handling like he wants it to. Al Kozlowski also has encroached onto the back end of Andrew Griesbaum. Going to be trying to work his way up into 6th place. Got to be very impressed with Darren Mullins here tonight, but Mullins is now under fire from Griesbaum.
Yeah, he's got his hands full right now as the Speedway Angels car is going to go around him. And also Andrew Layton is going to be coming around him as well because right now he is just falling back off the pace. So is Don Avery. So Kenny Powell actually able to secure the lead here and fend off Don Avery for the challenge. So he's got to be feeling pretty good about his chances here with 10 laps to go in the stage.
Oh, I would say so. I feel like that he's probably in a good headspace right now. He knows that he was able to weather the storm. He made him burn his stuff up more, and I think that's what you really got to do. You got to play those mind games here. As Al Kozlowski underneath Andrew Griesbaum trying to challenge for 6th or 5th place now, and I think he might have it. He slides up a little bit here,
and Andrew Griesbaum cannot risk defending this position too great because this is about the time in the first stage where he actually started to fall back. So if Kozlowski has a better running car, Griesbaum's going to do himself a disservice if he stays up top there trying to fight Kozlowski because instead of just losing one spot, he's probably going to end up losing 2 or 3.
Yeah, especially once the tires start definitely burning up on that car. It looks like Al Kozlowski almost able to get clear, but Andrew Griesbaum definitely still pushing the issue. Gets a good run off the exit of 2. A little bit of a loose condition there from Ryan Strunk.
Yeah, Strunk way down on the inside there was actually able to pedal through. So whatever momentum he might have had trying to actually challenge for P9 probably a stifle. But the good news is Strunk finds himself up into the top 10, so he will get a point if he can maintain.
And we just had Andrew Griesbaum take a little bit of a trip over that painted area in the infield. But it looks like he was able to keep some of his momentum. He did lose a position to also Andrew Layton now. So Layton has moved up into this 6th place position. So impressed with the 84 of Layton. Don't ever get to see him out here stretching his legs and getting good finishes or, good stage points. And I think it's a new start. It's a fresh start. Who knows what we're going to see here, Big Al?
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys want to get a good finish, man, because when you're coming out of the gate first race of the season and you got momentum, it's all about that. If you don't have momentum, then what do you have? The good news is, so far, Brian, we're 44 laps into this thing, and every single one of the 16 cars is not only still in the race, but they're all still on a lead lap.
Big battling going on for the lead. Kenny Powell into the outside wall. Josh Schaffner has taken the lead. Greg Wachinski moves up into 2nd position. So Kenny Powell seems like he maybe have hurt his tires in that battle, whatever he had with Don Avery. But now Schaffner the man that saves is up in the lead now. And this is a scary situation. When you see a man like Josh Schaffner take the lead, you know that he's going to probably keep it.
Well, not only that, but you got to note that Kenny Powell is not only out of the lead, but he's fallen back. So that's got to show us here now, especially with 6 laps left to go in this stage. It's going to give us an indication of what we're going to see when we get even into a longer run here going into stage 3.
Tell you what, these G&G drivers have been performing very well here tonight. I tell you what, I'm very impressed with what they rose to the occasion, I'd say.
Well, definitely seems that they've got it dialed in because all 3 of the podium drivers are all G&G drivers. And then you got Don Avery, but yet another G&G driver in the top 5. So 4 of the top 5 G&G guys. So I think they do have something figured out here this evening.
Yeah, definitely seems to be the case. I do believe we're going to have 3 laps to go here in this stage. Now or next time by, I should say. 47 laps so far into the race. And so far, so good. Like you said, no one has completely died yet, which is good. But Ryan Strunk apparently not having a great day.
Way off the pace. Not sure what happened to him, but he is not doing the right thing right now as he is definitely falling way back.
Yeah, last lap, he actually hit a 50.4 second lap. So I'm curious if maybe he spun it.
Maybe a replay on that one.
See it right now on your screen. He definitely had some a pretty bad lap right there. Got loose, went through the infield a little bit. Oh, had some contact with Sanchez. Oh, man. So this is definitely a big event right here. I want to take a look back at it through Sanchez's eyes. This could have easily been a caution right here. Seeing, of course, contact. Boom. What a save for Sanchez. Look at that, Big Al. Went through this. He did go through the tarmac a little bit, or the grass there. AstroTurf, I should say.
Drifting it around the turn. Josh Schaffner now, though, out to over a half a second lead over P2 Greg Wachinski. So he's having feeling pretty good about his position right now. And he's just a couple turns away here from actually solidifying himself a stage win here in the first race of the season.
Also, looks like Al Kozlowski has taken over that 4th place position. So top 4 are G&G. It looks like he's going to be crossing the line as a stage winner, Josh Schaffner. Of course, we got to wait for the 10th place car to also cross the line. I do believe that will be the 9 of J.C. Evans. Caution should be coming out any time now. But Josh Schaffner going to be your stage 2 winner. Greg Wachinski 2nd. Kenny Powell 3rd. Al Kozlowski 4th. Andrew Layton, actually, I do believe just took over 5th. I'm not mistaken there. Well, no, actually it does say Don Avery did finish 5th there. Andrew Layton 6th, Andrew Griesbaum 7th, 8th place Wes Dobbs, 9th place Darren Mullins, and 10th place J.C. Evans is that's our top 10 points paying positions there. It's going to definitely mean a lot, but this is when the race actually begins, Big Al.
Yeah, absolutely, Brian.
Well, let's go ahead and take another brief step away while these guys get their pit service underway, and we'll talk to whoever Big Al wants to talk to. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I feel comfortable, bro. We get a hug, man. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting to note, Greg Wachinski able to win the race off pit road. Big Al is standing by with Josh Schaffner.
Hey, Josh Schaffner, Big Al up to the booth. You got me?
I got you loud and clear.
So tell us, man, first off, congratulations on your Stage 2 victory. The big question I think everybody wants to know is, how is the car handling tonight? You've been actually out front and in the dirty air. Is it really that big of a deal?
Yeah, it's. I guess it ain't so much dirty air like the first stage there. It was more pace, and I think everyone was trying to kind of figure out their pace there, and I was just trying to settle in and get a feel for the car, and there's some guys that got a pretty good car for maybe 10 as much as 12 laps, and then there's a pretty big transition. The G&G cars are all hooked up real good on the long run, and dirty air wasn't a big deal. It was just patience. You just didn't want to burn my stuff trying to race those guys that were pushing hard, and once we hit lap 10 or 12, I was able to just drive right around them and work my way back to the front and get a stage win, which is great.
So it looks like you guys are set up for the long run, which is going to come out to your benefit here in Stage 3. Without the benefit of having sanctioned races, so to speak, this week, what did you guys actually do to prepare for this race?
Yeah, it definitely took some work. We worked real hard with Kenny Coppola and TWRS and that group, and all the G&G drivers worked really hard together, and we got a good baseline, did a little bit of fine tuning just for personal preference amongst us all. But the G&G team and the group there, we probably did a solid 400 laps in the evenings this week, getting this thing dialed in, because we just didn't have anything else to work off of. But the team did a great job putting this together, and we're excited to see how it turns out here.
Well, definitely looks like it's paying off. Before we let you go, who you shouting out to tonight?
Oh yeah, I got to thank Smith Farms. I think Todd's watching at home tonight, so good to see them guys back catching us on race night, and good to be back after harvest. And got to thank everyone at G&G and ISCA, you guys at the booth, Pioneer, and the whole group. But we're going green here, boys.
All right, good luck. Get back at it.
Thank you.
That was Josh Schaffner, our Stage 2 winner. Of course, Greg Wachinski actually going to be starting from the top of the leaderboard right now. We'll have to see how that holds up. It seems like clean air definitely is an advantage, but we saw Kenny Powell fall back. And speaking of Kenny Powell, where did he go? He's back in 13th. Green flag is back out.
Powell definitely ran into the wall a couple times. Andrew Layton, definitely Layton on the start, to say the least, as he got a really crappy run.
Greg Wachinski got the best run I think out of anybody. He is just gone. He's already got a half a second lead. But here comes Al Kozlowski moving his way up into the second place position.
And here's the thing. This is going to be the longest run of the race right here, the longest run of the night. Drivers are going to have to just kind of take it easy, because you're going to try to get that 48 laps out of this thing. Probably going to split this thing in half, but they're still going to go longer than they've gone thus far this evening. And so this isn't the time to be chasing the rabbit, if you will. This is the time to just kind of fall it into a race pace and doing something that you can maintain.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely a fantastic race, though, so far. I love every bit of it. And we've had so many guys. I love that this has been off schedule, Big Al, because it's allowed a lot of guys to get up here that don't have a lot of opportunities to get up here. I mean, a Griesbaum, a Wes Dobbs. We don't see these guys up in the top, 10 very often, but looks like they have definitely been pulling it all together. Look at that. Derek Jacobs is in the top 10 right now.
Hey, go Derek. And we talked about him just last week, having the opportunity to come out here, and the amount of growth that he has actually shown as Kenny Powell now is coming up along high around the outside.
He is flying. Kenny Powell is definitely a man on a mission right now as he enters the top 10 and is going to be taking some more spots away here.
Well, he's got to get back up there with his G&G teammates, and I'm certain that he had to get damage repaired, because he did smack into the wall a couple times, almost like Ike did Tina. We saw that G&G Camry kind of smacked around a little bit.
And there he goes up on the top side, trying to get by Wes Dobbs as he definitely driving that thing very hard. Now I understand the desperation. I think that Kenny's he's in that kind of desperation mindset right now. But I don't think he should be pushing it this hard, Big Al. I think he should just cool it off. We know that the first 5 laps are the most important of the run.
Yeah, absolutely. That track temperature, though, has dropped all the way down to 108 degrees now. But the winds, they've stayed the same out of the southwest at some 9 miles an hour. So the cars are going to do what they're going to do now. I think right now the drivers got a good feeling of the track. And Powell knows about what he can and can't do, putting in a lot of laps to a practice with his G&G teammates. He's not going to – I don't think he's going to go out there and push it too hard. But look who's right there in front of him. You got Don Avery, and the best yardstick of all, I think, is Andrew Griesbaum, because, you understand about how fast he is per laps. And right now, these guys are all around that, right around that 8-lap mark, like Josh Alfner said. A lot of guys are fast through 8, and then you'll start to see them start to fall back a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. Up to lap, 12, I think the 20 plus laps, and we haven't hardly seen any runs that went that long. And some guys started having problems when they got to that kind of length. And if we go to 40 plus, Big Al, I don't know who's still going to be out here.
Yeah, and I think that's the mark, though. I think a lot of you're going to have to try to get as close to 45 laps, and it might not seem doable, but I think you have to try to do that, because that's going to allow you to be faster, for that last run. And I think that's going to be the difference here, especially at Charlotte.
Look at this. Don Avery to the inside of Andrew Griesbaum. Darren Mullins now up in the top 3. You got to love to see this.
Yeah, but Al Keselowski, though, is now your race winner, so he has definitely got to be feeling pretty good. He is. He's.
You calling him the race winner? He's I'm gonna do what you do.
I said leader.
You said winner.
I said leader. I said leader. Oh, you gonna throw the challenge flag?
Yeah, I'm throwing the challenge flag right now.
No, I'm sorry, yeah. But, yeah, Al Keselowski, though, definitely taking the lead here. And that's got to be feeling pretty good for him, though, coming out in the first race of the season and leading some laps, Brian. That's going to boost anybody's confidence, though, going forward.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree totally. Kenny Powell's starting to really show his nose as he gets right around Andrew Griesbaum. He's coming up to the back of Don Avery. Avery's starting to pressure Josh Schaffner. Of course, this is when Schaffner hits the go switch. He said it before, 12 laps into the run. I mean, this is when he's at his best.
And, here's another thing, too. The G&G guys have been racing together, practicing together. So Schaffner, he knows how his car's handling. He knows what his lap ticker is. So I think it's just a matter of time before he actually goes around the 64 of Darren Mullins.
Speaking of which, there he goes, yeah.
Around the high side. And now these guys, the G&G guys, they're just birds of the same feather flocking together at this point.
And what's really interesting, we see quite the gap, between, I'd say, 10th and 11th here. Actually, I'll say this. Derek Jacobs is doing fantastic right now.
Yeah, he's running with the big dogs, He's off the porch and in the lead pack. So, yeah, kudos to those guys. They're risking it for some biscuits. So either way, they're going to get some points of payment out of this thing tonight.
Yeah, he just needs to keep it together. I think he'll be fine. As we see side by side, Andrew Layton, I do believe, and Ryan Strunk there. That is for the 11th place position.
Avery now putting pressure firmly upon the back bumper to 5-0 of Josh Schaffner.
So I would assume Don Avery probably made some adjustments to that race car to get it to handle a little bit better here.
Well, he's been fast through 20. So, we still got another 6 laps to go before, these guys are in familiar territory. Another 10 laps after that before they're in, like, oh, my God territory. And then that's when I think you and I are just going to be along for the ride. But you'll see, guys are going to get what they pay for. So the guys that are struggling are starting to fall back as we're halfway through this thing. We're definitely starting to get a clear picture of how everybody's night's going, because it ain't fun driving a shitty handling car.
It definitely ain't. Don Avery loose. almost lost it completely there. Good save for the 11. Kenny Powell going to be trying to drive around on the top. He gets really close to the wall. Has to back out of it. Loses some momentum there. This is a track where you definitely have to back up your corners. I mean, 3 and 4 almost act a little bit like how Texas's 1 and 2 do at this racetrack. You kind of got to get a little break in it, Big Al. And a lot of people might not realize it, but these guys are breaking a little bit into the corners, having to lift.
Yeah, trail braking and clutching. I mean, you got to do a lot of things to get around this thing. Anything you can do to assist the car with turning, minus turning the wheel, because the one thing that you're trying not to do is move that steering wheel any amount as possible, least amount as possible, because that's what's going to eat your tires up. People are probably thinking like, this guy's crazy.
No, you're right. No, you're 100% right. See some battling though right in front of Wes Dobbs, who we're looking through his cockpit camera. You see Don Avery has worked his way back up. He's loose again. Look at this. Perfect view from Wes Dobbs' position here. Definitely was, it's kicking out for Don Avery right now. I think he's reaching that point where it's starting to be a little bit difficult.
No, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction.
Okay, ready for that. We're all ears.
We're in our highest probability of a caution right now between now and the next 15 laps. So where we'll usually have a green flag pit window, I'm going to call this our caution window. Because these cars, they're going to get harder and harder to control. These guys they're having to do a lot. They got their hands full. Some of these cars are, they're just trying to keep the tail end of the thing behind the front end of it. They got their hands full. And in this point of the race, I mean, I think they were probably pushing each other a little bit harder maybe than they wanted to. Because right now, Brian, if we look at, the leader right now is at 31.869. His best lap was a 30.496. So, and also that's the fastest lap of the race, tied with Greg Wachinski, right? So think about that. Think about the fall off. And right now they're right at 20.
Yeah, and you see the lap times right now. You could clearly see who's turning the better laps. Al Kozlowski, Greg Wachinski, Josh Schaffner, Wes Dobbs even. Last time by Wes was not as quick. But you could tell that it's trending to this top 3. Definitely seem like they're the fastest on the racetrack. Al Kozlowski able to still maintain a lot of pace right now. Look at that, 31.9 last time by. But this is when we enter the 32-second lap range, though, where most people are in that range now.
Yeah, and that's just showing the fall off is tremendous. I mean, that's almost 2 seconds.
What's really interesting is Derek Jacobs has started moving closer and closer to the front here. He is now right behind Darren Mullins, trying to take that position away. He's trying to enter, I do believe, 8th place. I mean, I think this might be the highest we've seen Derek Jacobs run in the ISCA. You love to see it. It's heartwarming.
And one of the things, too, I said this before, Charlotte is the track that we all cut our teeth on. All of these drivers are the highest class. They're all A-class drivers. So you've been racing Charlotte from inception into the sim. So this track, right? I mean, let's just think about it. You race this car on this track pretty much when you start off in the sim.
Yeah, carburetor cup or, street stocks.
Yeah, so you get to know Charlotte, but Greg Wachinski now has already challenged Al Kozlowski. Now he is going to get his share of the lead for a while. Don Avery also by Kenny Powell, who is actually going back the wrong way.
Yeah, Kenny Powell starting to have to deal with Wes Dobbs here. As Wes Dobbs thinking about entering the top 5. Andrew Griesbaum right there in tow. As we reach that unknown point, Big Al, we're almost 25 laps into this run. which means, yeah, a lot of these guys aren't going to know what to do when we get further past this point. I mean, only like you mentioned before, there's no time. There have been no time to actually do races and things of that nature to kind of get ready for this race. There's no, A Open used to be, usually is a big advantage for these guys to go out there and test their their builds.
Yeah, absolutely. You get to go out and you get to test at race pace. Well, no such joy this week.
Still, definitely, everybody's been doing great. You saw West Domzo starting to get a little bit loose.
Look, a lot of drivers are going to be getting loose, and this is what I'm going to say. As we get closer and closer to that pit window, which we're not there yet, we're still, just under 10 laps away, it's going to be even trickier for some of these guys trying to make it down pit road.
Josh Schaffner has taken over second place from Al Kozlowski. I'll tell you what, Don Avery's handling a lot better on this run than he has in runs past. I think that they have definitely been making some considerable adjustments on that race car. Wouldn't even be surprised, Big Al, if Jeffrey Souza is helping out or something like that.
Well, Avery's in his booth by himself tonight, so.
Oh, man. Well,
he's a one-man show over there at Triad.
Still performing very well, though, right now. He's fourth place, holding it strong, running some pretty good laps. I mean, last time by, Avery was actually faster than the top three. So he seems like he's starting to get a feel for this race car. You love to see it.
Yeah, kudos to Avery. I mean, he started this thing on the poles, already won one stage, and now he finds himself running in P4 up to the end of this, trying to get this thing in the books. 54 laps to go. It's still pretty much a G&G show, as they are 1, 2, 3. Greg Wachinski, your leader. Josh Schaffner, P2. Al Kozlowski in third. Don Avery, fourth. Kenny Powell, P5. Wes Dobbs, sixth. Andrew Griesbaum, P7. Darren Mullins, P8. Derek Jacobs, P9. And J.C. Evans rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, that gap that was created there between the top 10 and the 11th place position has pretty much gone away now, as J.C. Evans, you mentioned him, has entered the top 10, is now trying to work on Derek Jacobs to move up even further. He's running some really good laps right now. He's faster than a lot of the guys that are in front of him, so wouldn't be surprised to see him jump up a couple more spots. Love to see some new talent out here. I mean, there's not a disadvantage to it at all. It gives us something to talk about up here in the booth, and hey, we'll talk about an Oreos machine, right?
Well, what's amazing, though, and I'm still going to say this, is we'll run through the rest of the lineup. Andrew Layton's in 11th with Mark Sanchez 12th. Derek Heitman back in 13th. Greg Carr 14th. Paul Olson in 15th. And Ryan Stunk found himself back in 16th position. But all of these drivers still on the lead lap, Brian. And we are caution-free minus the stages, and that just speaks volumes. If anybody knows anything about racing, being able to run any amount of laps at Charlotte, but especially the amount that we put in the book so far, that's pretty dang impressive.
Yeah, definitely. So impressive, just considering the lack of, or these guys had time to work on their car, but not as much of a framework. But man, definitely fantastic showing so far. Really does speak to the level of talent here, as I do believe we're verging on now 50 laps to go here. Of course, that means we're entering the fuel window here shortly. Of course, these guys will probably go a little bit longer just to kind of split it in half, as we mentioned before, because, I mean, definitely tires mean a heck of a lot here tonight at Charlotte.
Yeah, some of these guys right now, I mean, they are at their wits' end on the handling of their cars, because even though we're just outside of that window for fuel, a lot of these guys are probably feeling in that window for tire degradation. The 77 of Ryan Strunk is at a standstill on the race surface. That might or might not bring out a caution.
I think it will.
That is, and if a caution comes out,
that will change everything. I think he just got down on the apron just in time to keep it green.
Well, I tell you what, some of you guys are living right, because I don't know how that was not a caution. He still has to get it going around, because this is the tricky part where he's at right now. And, he's got to make a decision, because he's not going to be able to get up the race pace. So he might as well go ahead and bring it down pit road, but he has got to try to get up to speed. So he is definitely going to go multiple laps down here, Brian.
Yeah, has already scored right now. I do believe he has 1 lap down. But it looks like he is not electing to pit here. He's just going to keep on going. I don't blame him. I mean,
it's too early. Yeah, he's got to get back up to speed. So I think that 1 lap is going to turn into 2.
The lead has started to shorten up a little bit here, though. Greg Wychinski is being chased down by Josh Schaffner. Oh, Wychinski loose on the exit of 4.
And I'm telling you, this is the tricky spot. These guys now are longer on this run than they've been thus far tonight. So their tires are definitely screaming, and it's going to be at anybody's point right now. Oh, there's the 76 and the 43, which are going to be stacked up. That will probably bring the caution out. Paul Olson and Derek Heitman. Still no caution.
Yeah, you see Derek Heitman trying to get by Paul Olson on the inside. I do believe that was something causing an issue. You see the 77, and yep, definitely some contact there. Interesting accident for sure. Did not bring a caution out.
Wow. They're just trying to prove Big Al wrong.
Cautions must be turned off tonight.
Yeah, the flag man is at the hot dog stand.
He's eating some of that North Carolina barbecue, isn't he?
Yeah, he got one of them slaw dogs going on up there is what he's got.
Josh Schaffner has taken the lead here, though. Greg Wychinski sits second. Al Kozlowski third.
Now we are in that window, so meaning if the caution flag were to come out at this point, the drivers would actually be able to make it to the end of the race. Green flag pit stops have started, even though I do believe it was more, incidental than it was, intentional, because a lot of drivers finding themselves spinning around on the race surface. But our leader, Josh Schaffner, he still got it pointed in the right direction, and thus far, he is starting to extend his lead out just a little bit over P2.
Yeah, he definitely is. Last time by, he was definitely fast. Another one that's really quick is Al Kozlowski. It looks like even though he maybe burned his stuff up a little bit in the beginning, I think he has gotten it back, kind of cooled down, which is definitely speaks to his skill level to be able to cool those tires back down. You see Don Avery has been running some really good laps. He was a little bit faster than Greg Wychinski. So I still think Avery has got a podium car right now. I think he's gotten used to how it drives and how not to spin it out like we saw a lot in practice.
So 39 laps right now on this run. Green flag pit stops have already started. We've had at least 5 cars come down pit road. But the thing about it is these guys are going to have to make it longer now than they've gone thus far the whole race. So if they barely made it on that run to get to the pit window, they're really going to be struggling to make it to the end of the race, thus even making it a greater probability of cautions. Is a 77 off the mark again. He took the toe. Ron Strunk just having a horrible night here tonight.
Yeah, it looks like he just drove it down into the pits there through the kind of AstroTurf. So he's just having a bad night. He's just having a bad night. I think you're right. I think that he's just, this being off schedule, I think is what's really hurting these guys. Because, Strunk, usually he doesn't have these issues. He's fast.
Leader's pit row. So the 50 of Schaffner and the 5 of Wychinski, they're pitting right now. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. That's definitely some pertinent information here as we see Schaffner and Greg Wychinski both taking it down. Al Kozlowski is on a little bit of a different schedule. Don Avery's still out there. Kenny Powell's still out there.
Interesting call for these guys because, they're splitting it right in the middle, which means I think they're just praying for fair skies, man, and calm seas.
Here comes Al Kozlowski going to be taking it down. Don Avery also, a little bit of a lockup from Avery. Looks like he's able to get it down to pace speed, though. Or should I say pit road speed.
Yeah, Layton's will be coming down there also.
Wes Dobbs also down there. Mark Sanchez, looks like Greg Carr, Derek Jacobs. So pretty much the majority of the field now taking their stop.
Also, looks like everybody is clean and green. Nobody receiving the dreaded black flag, so all of their pit entrances were safe.
Kenny Powell, though, one of the guys that has elected to stay out, he is the only man on the lead lap right now.
And I like what he's doing. I like what he's doing right now because, run as long as you can, Kenny, because that way I think you're going to be able to go faster longer than these guys.
Of course, if the fuel window is, fuel run is 48 laps, he is definitely closing in on that 48 laps. I do believe he's going to be bringing it down right now.
He still has a 1 lap differential on these guys for tire wash. I think he's still going to be in a little bit better situation than anybody else so far.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think he's going to be in a good position. He's going to have better tires than them, and hopefully he doesn't burn them up. I think that was kind of his problem there in that stint there.
Yeah, and I don't think we're out of the woods for a caution here because a lot of these guys, at least 5 cars, Brian, are going to find themselves having to run, 43, 44 laps on their tires here towards the end of the race. And at the end of this thing, that's when they're going to get caught up with the leaders. You're going to be looking at them going lap down. A lot of things. We're just throwing all kinds of bad ingredients in the soup right there, just watching this storm that we got starting to actually manifest itself.
Yeah, definitely. I think that something could go wrong, especially with guys being on a little bit different tires. But it looks like for the most part, the green flag pit stops kind of spread everybody out for the most part. Schaffner has reclaimed the lead. Not far behind him is Greg Wyszynski, about a half a second distance. Of course, Al Kozlowski about 1.7 back. Well, now that we've had it calm down a little bit, Big Al, let's say we take a quick commercial break. Come right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms, from camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
There, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so talking, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
All righty, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and Al Kozlowski has caught up here, I do believe, to Greg Wyszynski. The battle is on for the top 3, really, as Derek Heitman gets ready to, I do believe, go a lap down here. So he actually takes it down into the AstroTurf a little bit. This is a scary situation, Big Al. You talked about how this could be the time for a caution. That looked like that could have been a good time as any right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think we're going to miss out. We're going to have a couple more opportunities that are going to definitely present themselves.
Top 3 right there on top of each other. Still anybody's guess who's going to win this thing. Don Avery sitting in 4th, not too far back, about 8/10 back there.
Derek Heitman just smashed himself and actually ended up on the tow truck.
You definitely hate to see that. Definitely has been a lot of struggles for that driver here tonight. Unfortunate.
Yeah, and you hate to see that because this is one of those opportunities where you're hoping that these teams will be able to come out here tonight, actually build on something, get some momentum going that's going to carry them through at least the first half of the season. But, a goose egg or a do not finish or did not finish, that's not what anybody is going to want to see here, man, on their side tonight.
No, not at all. As we see Kenny Powell has worked his way back up, I do believe, into that 5th place position. Got by Andrew Griesbaum and Darren Mullins. Mullins starting to have a little bit of a handling condition here as he falls back into 7th place.
And now we only have 13 cars that are actually on the lead lap. Out of the 16 that we did start with, looks like Derek Heitman, Paul Olsen, and Ron Strunk are doing different things. Olsen is still racing. Heitman and Strunk are actually shown as not in their cars.
Well, that's definitely not good. Looks like that is definitely the case here. Of course, Heitman now 4 laps down. Paul Olsen 12 laps down. Ryan Strunk 14 laps down. Derek Jacobs is going to be the next one, I do believe, to go a lap down here. You see he is now 27 seconds behind the leader. Won't be long until Josh Schaffner, Greg Wychinski, and Al Kozlowski catch up there.
Yeah, and the thing about it, too, is he's got a little bit longer on his tires, I think, than they do. Actually, he is just pitted because right now he's only having 10 laps on his tires.
Well, that's definitely interesting. He'll have a little bit fresher tires than these guys. Hopefully he can get the pace up. Maybe just lost some time on pit road because we saw Derek Jacobs was actually fairly close, to the front pack there for quite a while. Look at that. J.C. Evans, though, up to 8th place. Love these new guys showing up and really showing out here.
Yeah, that's great, especially if you're coming out here, your inaugural race in ISCA, and you're going to have a possibility of putting that thing in the top 10. That's a great day right there.
Taking a look through the cockpit camera here, Don Avery. Avery starting to power his way closer and closer to this top 3. I think this is getting ready to get interesting, Big Al. See right in front of them, Al Kozlowski starting to put pressure on Greg Wychinski.
Avery's about on the faster part of his stint, and if he was actually able to manage his pit stop time, he'll be able to actually manage his tires as well. So I think he's in a good position right now.
Yeah, definitely in a lot better position than we kind of thought he was earlier. I mean, it seemed like he was lacking the long run potential, but it seems like I think he's gotten it figured out. I mean, you see he's not moving the wheel quite as much as he was earlier, and he's kind of, turning right more than I guess he is left.
Yeah, with 25 laps to go here before this one is in the books. He has definitely got to be feeling pretty good about where he is running, as he is currently finding himself up in 4th place. And he's really got the next 2 guys directly. Well, he's got all 3 of them in his sights.
Yeah, he definitely does. Look at that, though. Kenny Powell has been definitely making use of those newer tires. He's about a tenth and a half faster as Wychinski goes to the inside on John Schaffner, and he is going to try to take the lead here.
Now, we've seen things like this happen in the past where the G&G guys have kind of taken each other out. So hopefully, speaking good vibes for them tonight, that they'll be able to make it through this unscathed.
And the only thing they're really accomplishing right now is they're battling with each other, and they're allowing Don Avery to catch them. And Avery now is going to be, he's in here, 4th-way battle for the lead now.
There's a fox in the hen house.
Yeah, I think, I want that position. No, I want that position. Ain't going to work for you right here.
Yeah, he is right up in there amongst them, though. Now putting pressure on the 88 of Kozlowski.
What a race, though, for that 78 of Andrew Griesbaum. I can't speak enough good things about that driver here tonight. He has definitely turned up with a heck of a run. 6th place right now. It's a good start to a season, I'll tell you that. That is a great start to a season. The 6th place, I'd love a 6th place to start a season out. I mean, and we're going to some places, I wouldn't say exactly similar to this, but it's still a mile and a half next week. I got good feelings about Kentucky.
You know, the best thing coming out of Kentucky is I-65.
I'll tell you though, I mean, my sister and her husband go to Kentucky to visit his family sometimes, and it's a beautiful state. It really is. It's a lot of elevation, and you know.
Yeah, I love Kentucky. I'm just kidding. I've lived in Kentucky for, over a decade. So
That's you know, they always say a lot of the South is flat. Oh, contact!
Oh, contact!
Greg Wyszynski up into Schaffner. Now out Kozlowski going to be trying to take advantage. Looks like Greg Wyszynski starting to get a little bit tight.
And that's definitely not what those G&G guys need, because Don Avery is right up in there amongst them, and he is going to be putting undue pressure on both of these two, trying to tread the needle so he can get himself up and possibly challenge Schaffner for the lead.
And look who's coming there also, Kenny Powell.
Brother Powell.
Powell's on fresher tires right now. Has he saved them, though? I think that's going to be the key, as we now have less than 20 laps to go. Al Kozlowski and Don Avery side by side. That's what I love about them. You know, a lot of people try to hate on this next gen, and I'm one that, you know, the safety aspects of it. But I'll tell you what, it provides such a great race at 8.5 miles now. I mean, I'll tell you that. I mean, just the way these cars can run top to bottom on the racetrack, it wasn't like that in the Gen 6, I don't believe.
No, it wasn't. I mean, this is a driver's car. Just the amount of adjustments you're able to make is Kenny Powell actually making contact with the 11th of Avery, who was low because, Al Kozlowski got a little bit tight there coming around the turn.
Powell, now's the time for him to make his move, but, you know, he can't risk getting wrecked.
Yeah, I think right there it was just he had a little bit more speed than Avery. Here he is again. Now he's going to be on the inside.
Oh, contact.
Pushing Avery to the outside, kind of squeezing him, but he's still got to get around Kozlowski.
Yeah, if Kozlowski slows him up, Avery's going to be definitely, Kenny Powell's going to be at Don Avery's mercy, I'd say.
Yeah, Avery's definitely going to set him up to try to come back on the inside.
Big battling going on for this third place position as Josh Schaffner tries to pull away. But look at Wyszynski. Wyszynski has caught back up to Schaffner.
Here comes Avery on the inside of Powell. But they're still going to run into the same situation. They're gonna have to contend with Kozlowski once they get the drive off.
Yeah, it's just kind of like who can defeat Kozlowski. Like, you know, Kenny Powell gets by Avery. He tries at it. Avery gets by Powell. He tries at it. It's hard to deal with that Kozlowski fella.
Yeah, with 16 laps to go, I mean, we are literally covering all four corners of the race track with traffic. So the leaders are doing what they can. I don't think, or hopefully the 27 of Heitman will be able to keep them at bay. But if not, that's just going to throw yet another wrench onto the skating rink.
Yeah, I mean, you see Josh Schaffner right now is very much in closing on Derek Jacobs. Jacobs right now, I do believe, is going to be going a lamp down here soon. I think it's going to happen. And what will that cost? I mean, will Greg Wyszynski try to take advantage?
Well, you know, we're getting back up into the higher end of the tire wear because of the lap count, and these guys are still very racy. So, Brian, I don't know, man. I think we kind of dodged the bullet the first iteration, but I don't know if we're going to be as fortunate this iteration.
I'll tell you what, though. I think Kenny Powell and Don Avery have magnets for each other because they just cannot stay away from each other. Looks like Josh Schaffner, though, well in control of this race as he starts to pull away a little bit on Greg Wyszynski. Of course, Clean Air benefiting him, but Clean Air not going to be for long here as he catches up to Derek Jacobs. Side by side once again, Don Avery and Kenny Powell.
Powell way high on that wall.
I wouldn't be surprised if they have some contact here. Avery loses momentum.
Yeah, Powell's trying to get as much drive off as he can. You see how he goes high right there. Not trying to mash the brakes, just trying to get back on the throttle as soon as he can.
There goes Derek Jacobs on the high side as John Schaffner tries to get around. Slides up a little bit. No opportunity really presenting itself to Greg Wychinski.
Yet he's still right there, Brian.
That he is. And now here comes Al Kozlowski up to the rear end of the 27. Looks like he's just going to get clear. So hard to be a lap car here at Charlotte.
No, it's not hard for me at all. I get lapped all the time.
See now Don Avery going to be trying to slide by. Next time by 10 to go. Here comes Wychinski to the inside. Not able to get there, but he is definitely looking.
There's not going to be a better opportunity. His tires are only going to get worse. So with 10 to go, he has to start challenging for the lead.
Now Kozlowski is starting to catch up because these guys are battling. Still unknown. Who is going to win this race?
Yeah, but you got a G&G 1, 2, 3, and 4.
That we do.
Oh, Avery through the grass. He's going to come back onto the race surface. No caution, but I think that's going to erase any chance that he's going to have of being on the podium tonight.
That's unfortunate. Looked like he had a podium almost locked up there, was racing right with those guys. But, you know, as I always say, carrot on the stick. I think he might have been chasing it, Big Al.
Yeah, but I don't think it's over yet. I think we're going to see a lot more guys that are going to be risking it right now because, like you said, it's go time, and you got to risk it now. It's time to push it to the limit if you can. Josh Schaffner doing just that, and he's extending his lead as Kozlowski is now going to be battling side by side with Wychinski for P2.
Yeah, definitely. This is when, I mean, even though these guys are teammates, they're going to battle each other. They're going to race each other hard. Kenny Powell is starting to enter the picture. They're battling to see who's going to talk to us tonight, Big Al.
Avery is now that Avery has kind of taken himself out of the situation.
Oh, contact! Al Kozlowski and Wychinski getting physical.
No, he's just letting his brother know he's there.
This has allowed Kenny Powell to come into play. Josh Schaffner driving away right now. Half a second, 8/10 actually.
Oh, it's going to get close here between the G&G teammates.
Might be a fight in the G&G hauler tonight.
You know, instead of being the Speedway Angels, they're looking more like the Blue Angels out there, all tight in formation like that.
Yeah, for sure. I do believe 5 laps to go this next time by.
Schaffner doing everything that he needed to do here tonight. He saved his tires just enough, and I think now with his teammates battling back there, it's just going to give him the opportunity to kind of slide this thing a little bit further on down the road.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be trying to do everything he can to keep those guys back there, keep them fighting. I think something could still happen here between these G&G guys. I think Kenny Powell, he's now secured 3rd place. What's he going to do with Wychinski here? I mean, these guys all are very hard drivers. Sorry, Big Al, go ahead.
But look at Wychinski, though. He's got to be feeling pretty good about himself being up here on the podium tonight.
A little bit loose condition there off of turn 2 is going to put him side by side with Kenny Powell. Powell trying to get second away. Now, if Powell gets clear of these guys, he's on newer tires. If he's been taking care of them, he might have a chance of getting to Wychinski. He's got just enough time. Or not Wychinski, to Schaffner. But now Wychinski's going to battle back on the inside. Now, this is what is going to cause Kenny to not have a chance for this win.
He's going to try to get the run off the high side. And if he can get back into the throttle sooner, he'll be able to come up and get around Wychinski as they go into turn 3.
Oh, he's into the outside wall.
Now that's going to cost him huge because now Kozlowski is even going to get around him.
100%. Here comes Kozlowski, going to be trying to get to the inside of Wachinski. Not quite able to get there. A huge battle for the G&G top 3. Of course,
Yeah.
Don Avery going to be hoping and praying that one of these guys wreck each other so that he can get the top 3. He's still back there.
But look at what Schaffner's doing in the meantime.
Now going to be 2 laps to go when we cross the line. Still side by side for second place. Al Kozlowski loose.
Powell into the wall again. As now he's trying to get on the inside of Wachinski.
Here comes Kozlowski on the inside. Kozlowski looking really good. It's going to go 3 wide for just a split moment.
Oh, it's going to go 3 wide.
These guys are battling. The white flag is soon to be waving here as Kenny Powell gets a run. He's going to get underneath Kozlowski.
Not actually able to pull it off.
Oh, problems as Kenny Powell slides through the AstroTurf.
Wachinski actually making a nudge on Powell. That's going to slide Powell back. Now he's going to be trying to defend him to his P4 position because Don Avery is going to be trying to run up on him. That allowed Al Kozlowski, the Speedway Angels 88, to run away with P2, only to chase Josh Schaffner as he has nothing standing between him and a race win, but nothing.
And he is going to cross the start-finish line as your winner tonight. Josh Schaffner wins the first race of the Thursday Cup Series. Gotta love to see it. First race of the season. I mean, I'm pretty sure he won Stage 2 also, so there's going to be some good points here tonight for Josh Schaffner. Of course, Al Kozlowski's going to come home in second place. Greg Wachinski in third. Kenny Powell fourth. Don Avery fifth. Andrew Griesbaum in 6th place. Wes Dom 7th. 8th place, Andrew Layton. 9th place, Darren Mullins. And rounding out our top 10 is J.C. Evans.
Mark Sanchez coming in on 11th with Greg Carr in 12th. Derek Jacobs comes across in 13th with Paul Osen 11 laps down in 14th. Derek Heitman and Ryan Strunk out of the cars, rounding out the 16-car field. With that done and celebrations underway, we're going to step away once more, get another word from our sponsors. We'll be back with our post-race coverage.
Hey everybody, my name is Warren Maddox. I am the president of Ultimate Experience Outdoors. Our mission, we are dedicated to taking veterans, first responders, youth, and Gold Star family members on outdoor excursions across the country.
Support for our mission has many forms. From camp cooks to the great storytellers, some buddies with the band, maybe you just want to build a campfire and sit around and listen. Nothing goes unnoticed.
Camaraderie is reborn. The acceptance among the men and women that took an oath.
Whether it was decades ago or recently renewed, but never forgotten.
If you feel like you could help us, please visit our website, www.uxonation.org.
Or there, you can register to hunt, sign up to sponsor an event, or even donate to us so we can continue to execute our mission.
Oh my gosh, I'm so talking, bro. We get a hug. What have you done, Jim?
We need your help to hold the line once again.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Of course, we are joined in the booth by our top 3. We're going to talk to Greg Wachinski, our third place finisher, first off. Greg, definitely fantastic showing for you here tonight. I mean, definitely looked like you had a podium machine. How was it feeling? It looked like you guys were having fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun tonight. That's just good, hard racing out there. All those guys, all my teammates right there at the end. It was really fun.
Yeah, did you practice this speech or?
Yeah, I did actually. I got it written down on a postcard right next to me, bullet points.
Well, definitely great. I mean, walk us through some of that, though. I mean, to race with your teammates like that, and I mean, was it all bets off? Like, we're going to race each other hard, or were there any kind of give and take moments also?
I mean, for a while there, we were just trying to run all. Everybody's just trying to save their tires. We felt like we had the fastest cars, so Dom was pretty fast there at times. He would come up and challenge. So we're just trying to be smart, but I mean, it's hard. Sometimes you get a run, and you just got to take it. So it's whether it's your teammate or not, it's just having fun, good hard racing.
Yeah, definitely seemed like it for sure. Definitely a solid start to the season. I mean, do you feel like this is going to help you momentum wise going into Kentucky next week?
Yeah, I mean, I like Kentucky. It's a good track. Should be fun. Probably just like this, close racing the whole time. Pit strategies.
100%. And it looked like you guys kind of all had the same pit strategy except for our second place finisher. But, I mean, how were the tires wearing, though? It seemed like it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, I probably should have had second. Al, he did try to put me in the wall there for second. So, thanks to him for racing hard. It's just good hard racing, Al. Congrats to Josh for winning.
Yeah, who do you want to shout out since you're kind of already doing some shout outs right now?
All you guys in the booth, you guys do the broadcast, do a great job. TLC, the sponsor, ISCA, Kenny puts everything on, G&G Racing.
All
and
right.
Of course, Monster, my sponsor on my car.
All righty, Greg. We definitely appreciate your time, and congratulations on the third place. I know you might even be able to win this thing. You looked fast all night long, but we'll talk to you hopefully next week at Kentucky or maybe even on Saturday. We'll have to wait and see.
Thanks a bunch.
That's Greg Wachinski, our third place finisher. Next up, Big Al is going to be standing by with the other Al Kozlowski.
Hey, Al, this is Big Al. You got me?
I got you, brother.
Well, congratulations to you, sir, as you are actually our biggest mover of the race, starting all the way back in P7 and coming home in P2. I know this was a different kind of a week, not having actually a lot of races to participate in, but looks like you G&G guys got it going. So why don't you talk us through what your week looked like in preparation for this event?
First of all, if you remember, Al, I started in the pits. I didn't want to be in this race because I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. These guys did a tremendous job. I got to give a big thanks. These guys all run the TWRS setups, and at the last minute, I snuck in and put a Reaper Speed Labs in this thing, and it was pretty good. I just got a little pushy, but it was fun. This is the most fun I've had at Charlotte in a long time.
Yeah, it definitely did look like you guys had fun. And if you had a good handling car, it probably was going to be a little bit more exciting, I guess, than some of the guys who didn't. It was an actual good strategy of yours to start from the pit. We did actually comment on that. And we, too, did think it was going to be a little bit more caution-y, if you will. I think we just kind of kept avoiding it. But, man, looks like you had a rocket ship. So that Reaper Speed Lab setup that you have, how long did it take you to get that thing dialed in?
I had worked a little bit with Boyd Hogan on that deal, just a little bit. I mean, a couple minutes in chat, and he made some suggestions, and it was do or die. I mean, a last-minute thing, a last-minute decision. These guys have the ability to save tires. For some reason, I don't have that ability. I mean, there's a thing called a brake that I just don't use that much. So I needed a car that was going to be able to accommodate me, and this one seemed to it did it. I mean, it was either going to do it or not do it. I was rolling the dice, but it worked.
So as the race went on, did you actually find yourself having to make a lot of adjustments, or were you just actually able to pretty much drive your style for the majority of the event?
Adjustment I had to make was a little bit of the driving style. I mean, I dive these corners way too much, so I had to be patient and check up and not have a problem with that. But other than that, I just raced the race like I usually do.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're getting off to a great start. It's going to be a pretty good points event for you here today. Next week, we're headed to Legacy, Kentucky. What can we actually expect from you in that Speedway Angels 88? Is this a track that you're fond of, or is this a track that you're kind of glad to see is off the schedule?
It's been a while since we've been on that track. We'll probably do like we did as a team at G&G this week and spend a whole lot of time. We probably have 1,000 laps on this Charlotte Motor Speedway to get it to where it was today. And I'm really proud of my guys, first, second, third, and fourth. And I think we even got a 14th out of this thing. So they did a real good job, and we put a lot of effort into this. And I hope Saturday the G&G crew has the same efforts and result.
Well, heck yeah, we can't wait to see that, man. And congratulations to you once again for your second place finish. Before we let you go here tonight, who you shouting out for your Thursday night special?
Before I started this race, I had a call from a good buddy of mine, Bernard Pollard, and he had a little chit chat with me. And I know he's watching tonight, and I'm hoping he'll be in on Saturday's races so I can be the one cheering him on. But I want to thank him and thank you guys up in the booth and my teammates, G&G and Boyd Hogan and SpeedwayAngels.com.
Well, all right there, bud. Don't you go party too hard because, and hopefully we will see your buddy out here on Saturday night as well. Have a good evening, sir.
Thank you, guys.
All righty, that was Al Kozlowski in the 88, finished in second place. Definitely a fantastic performance there from him. Next up, we have our first place finisher and winner. After all the crazy chaos out there, you kind of got clear and drove away while everybody else was battling each other out. Josh, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Great to get the Pioneer Chevy back in victory lane. It's been a while.
That it has. Definitely a great race here tonight. I know you're always, the guy that saves tires. I think that's what everybody kind of knows you as, or corn man, if you will. Do you think that kind of fit into tonight's race, having to save those tires as much as you did?
Yeah, it was a really big deal and kind of a challenge. I think probably all of our drivers would say, and I know all of our teammates in G&G, this was kind of a different situation than what we're used to. This track was much different than it was back in May at the Coke 600. Haven't been here for a while, and really, just nothing would relate to it. It was really hard to find a baseline, and we got to thank TWRS and Kenny Coppola for helping us out, and all the guys at G&G also put a lot of time, in those sessions to try to dial this thing in, and it wasn't easy.
We're not shouting them out now. What are you doing, Josh? You're already shouting out.
Talking about the car, it was tough, but and you had to save. It was a lot of discipline, and trying to really navigate 3 and 4 was probably the biggest struggle, is managing those bumps and trying to save the right front, then also trying to save the right rear at exit, and the car could get free off of 2 as well. But you just really had to manage tire temperature through the race, and you could, depending on how you drove the car, you could definitely tell when you heated the right rear or the right front, and it was just a balance act of trying to find that right balance.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it for sure. I mean, especially the temperature of the track got quite high at some points, and then kind of went up and down a little bit. I mean, it was a little bit windy out there also. Do you maybe think some of that maybe hurt you? I know 4 is usually tricky anyway.
Yeah, it was a little different weather. The temperature was a little warmer. We practiced some in this temperature, but also did some cooler. And the car acts a little bit different depending on that temperature. And the wind was different tonight. I caught that a little bit too. And always hard to say if that was the impact or not. But tire wear and managing tire heat was the name of the game. And all the guys at G did a great job managing the race.
100%. Definitely, I think one of the most successful finishes in G&G history, I'd say. I mean, top 4 out here. I mean, just fantastic showing for sure. I mean, you guys put it on out here at Charlotte, especially just being a little bit off schedule, which is, got to be the toughest part of it. I mean, you guys had to turn more laps, I think, this week than you ever have. I mean, and you haven't had to have the race, the races, the A Opens, as a kind of a way to see how your gear is going to run,
Yeah, and we talked about all week. We're out here practicing as a group, and it's really hard when you don't have a race to go and run during the week, just to kind of see, okay, or what's our baseline here? Do we have the pace? Are we off? Because sometimes you think the car's driving good, but you get an A Open and the pace is off. So it was more challenging, and everyone was in the same boat. And I think everyone, as we were talking all week, knew this right away when we started practicing. This was going to be a tough thing, and we knew right away it was going to take a lot of work to get a car dialed in that could run 40 laps. I mean, I just remember practicing. At first we could barely make it 10 laps, and then we got to making 12, 14, and finally got to 20. And it took a lot of adjustments to find a car that would handle for 40 laps.
100%, man. Well, how are you feeling about Legacy, Kentucky coming up next week? That's going to be an interesting one for sure. I mean,
it's been a long time. Yeah, long time since we've been there. I've never been there with the next gen car. If you think back to Legacy, that track was getting horrifically bumpy, which will be kind of unique with this car, I think. And probably getting a car that can rotate there and get off of 4 is really important there. And being able to run the bottom, and getting into two there, or 1 and 2 is unique. But I think the challenge of this car is going to be getting a spring and shock setup that can handle all those bumps at that place.
All right. Well, definitely seems like you got the right things in mind, Josh. Who can we give a shout out to after this big win here in the Cheerwine 200?
Yeah, first off, always want to thank the ISCA and Kenny Powell, and also want to thank all of our drivers. That this was a really tough track. I know a few people went through a few rides there, but to run that caution free, except for the stages, is pretty amazing. And I think anytime you come to an ISCA race, you got really quality drivers, and got to shout out everyone. And want to thank everyone at G&G. A lot of work this week. Got to thank everybody at Smith Farms and Todd and Tyler. I know they're tuned in tonight. Pioneer, TDBRS, as I mentioned. Appreciate all the help there this week. And yeah, you guys up at the booth, Brian, Big Al, appreciate that each week. But yeah, it takes a lot of people to run this league, and just appreciative of all the people that come on and participate with us each week.
All right, Josh. Well, we definitely appreciate your time. Congratulations once again.
Thank you.
All righty, that was Josh Schaffner, our winner here for this evening's action. And, of course, definitely a fantastic job to all the rest of the top three, everybody out there, for rising to this really big challenge. I mean, especially with the updates, having to, not have something really to build from. Just fantastic showing altogether for everybody out here. I mean, I don't know how many times. I mean, how many cautions have we had in the last few races? It has not been a lot, except for the stage cautions, Big Al.
Yeah, absolutely. And we kind of get a little bit spoiled, man, because other races that we participate in are nowhere near this. So it definitely is a little bit of a pleasure to actually watch these guys and be a part of this production, Brian.
100%. We definitely appreciate everybody out there tuning in, but I think we've reached that time to where we're going to be drawing this thing to its conclusion. Definitely congratulations once again to Josh Schaffner, Al Kozlowski, and Greg Wachinski for grabbing that top three. Also, big shout out to Kenny Powell. I know he raced hard. Don Avery, fantastic performance there. Shout out to, TLC, of course, and the UXO for coming on board here. Also, Cheerwine. Definitely not, if you're watching and you're not in the South, you probably don't even know what Cheerwine is, but it's definitely good. If you ever get the chance to try it out, give it a shot. But make sure you tune in. This Saturday, we'll be starting up the Saturday Cup Series for their first race. Also, I do believe at this same track of Charlotte. So going to get to see some more action-packed racing, and I can't wait. I mean, I have thoroughly enjoyed our trip here to Charlotte here tonight, and can't wait to see what that looks like. 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the race will begin. A little bit after that, of course, that's when the green flag will wave, so make sure you tune in. Next week, of course, also Thursday, we're going to be heading to Legacy, Kentucky. So we appreciate everybody out there tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.